Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. Just a quick question before we get started. Have you ever signed up to participate on a podcast or webinar, promised that you were going to learn the secret formula to success, the Holy Grail? Then as it starts, and you're 20 minutes in, and the speaker is still talking about themselves, how great they are, their accomplishments, blah, 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 blah. And you think to yourself, this is another one of those sales pitches. Well, some good news, folks. I don't operate like that, and this is not a sales pitch. This is very much like a one-on-one coaching session. And to that end, the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. So I invite you to bring your questions, and don't hesitate to interrupt me at any point. I will stop at the end of each segment for questions. But if something is burning in your mind, it's likely burning in someone else's mind. So don't hesitate to raise your hand in the dialogue box. And if I don't see it, Lila will point it out to me and we can address your question as we go. Now, if you're not listening live and you're going to the podcast on the Water Cooler website afterwards, you can still get your questions answered by posting them online, and I will get back to you relatively quickly. So again, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. I encourage you to ask questions throughout as we go through. Okay, let's get started. Well, first of all, if you've tuned in before, you know this is one of a series. This particular podcast is part 2 of leadership, law firm leadership. And we will also be doing the next session on passing the torch, succession planning, and that'll be on December 3rd. I invite you to join us for that one as well. I would like to take a moment to thank Equa Marketing for sponsoring this Legal Water Cooler series. And I would also like to thank Lila for helping me facilitate these podcasts. Lila has been invaluable, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do these without her. So thank you, Lila. Let's get into the overview of what I'm going to cover today. If you tuned into the November issue of Leadership, then Components of Leadership will be a repeat for you. But I'm purposely repeating it in case you didn't tune in. I feel it's important to highlight what are some of the components of law firm leadership. What's important? What makes a good law firm leader? I'm going to be talking about financial management and leadership and business development, and finally, building your team. Let's jump right in. What makes a good law firm leader? Well, leadership comes from a combination of skills and attributes. Understanding and working with both is essential for strong leadership. Typically, the managing partner is usually in the leadership role by default, either because you have founded your own firm or because you were selected by your peers. And in most cases, you've not had direct training or coaching to develop your skills as a leader or manager. Yet you have direct control, influence, and responsibility over the way the firm is run. This can present many challenges, both for you as the managing partner and the firm. So let's look at the skills required in the lawyering versus leading. As a managing partner, you will have had your lawyering skills well honed by now. Analytical ability, attention to detail, logical reasoning, persuasiveness, sound judgment, writing ability, and so on. At the same time, successful leaders require skills to formulate and articulate a shared vision for the firm. Lead the fight for constructive organizational change. Empower and develop lawyers and support personnel. Work collaboratively with the management team. Develop problem-solving and multiple options thinking skills. Make tough decisions. Establish both firm goals and performance goals for all lawyers and support personnel. Seek input from others while coaching and developing others. And confront and deal directly with internal and external or client conflict and communication problems. Wow, that's no small order. And if you are the managing partner or owner of your firm, you know what a tug of war all of this can be. Let's look at attributes. Attributes versus skills. Attributes are more innate, like soft skill qualities that reinforce what you say and support your desired actions. Basically, it comes down to your ability to connect. Think about, and I have to say this, maybe some of you are put off with politics, but I always think of a politician that you admire. And aside from policies, you're likely drawn to them because of their ability to connect with you and other members of the audience. This ability to connect can lead to their having influence over you and others. Bottom line, great leaders have the ability to influence others. But don't fret, however, if this doesn't come naturally to you. It is my experience over and over and over again that the attributes and skills can be learned to become a great law firm leader. Vision. Well, lawyers in leadership positions who have vision are able to build consensus, strengthen their teams, and lead change and action. That doesn't mean they or you have all the answers, but they have developed excellent relationship building skills they use internally just as they do with their clients. See, there's a lot of overlap and transferable skills between business development, and if you're good at business development, a lot of those skills are transferable over to becoming a good leader. Because of the skills, they inspire confidence in others. It stems from the inclination and ability to listen to their lawyers and support personnel. Again, just as they or you do with your clients. Then they're able to foster a sustainable relationship with their team. However, many firms do not encourage or insist upon their leaders to develop the skills and abilities necessary to more effectively lead change or action in their firm. Although many firms are adopting competency-based associate development approaches, there is a lack of the same consideration for those at the top. A bit of a dichotomy. So to summarize, and it's no accident that I chose a visual of a puzzle, pieces of a puzzle coming together, because that's really what it's all about. And if this seems daunting or overwhelming to you, again, I'm going to reiterate, especially if you are new in your leadership role, the good news is everything you need to know in order to become an excellent leader can be learned. Ongoing leadership training and coaching will address these and other leadership learning needs. This is not taught at law school, as you know, but it certainly determines the degree of a law firm's success. Now, success can be defined any way you want it to be, or any way your firm wants it to be. Could be achieving a high degree of profitability, attaining a reputation as the best in practice in your city, province, or across the country. Fostering highly leveraged teams enjoying lean process workflow, and or experiencing low turnover and a highly productive and collegiate team. Does your firm meet or exceed the definition of your success? And now I'd be open to taking questions on the first segment of today's podcast, Leadership Components for Great Law Firm Leaders.
No questions on this segment.
Okay. Oh, no questions on, okay, great. Well, we'll move on to the next section, which is financial management and how law firm leadership can affect the success. And this is really thinking about accountability. How well can your law firm answer the following three questions? What does your cash flow look like for the next week or month? How close to budget are your actual income and expenses? What is each lawyer's realization rate, billable hours? Your law firm is a business. That requires you as the leader to think and act like an entrepreneur. Most partners in law firms are expected to carry the brunt of business decisions with little formal experience running a business. This segment of the podcast is focused on financial management, critical to a sustainable and successful law firm. Now, a little bit of background. Traditionally, the financial performance depended on few metrics, such as billable hours, accounts receivables, and collections. However, in today's highly competitive market, effective financial management also requires informed business decisions, a robust financial system that is focused on budgeting, forecasting, cash flow managing, key performance indicators, or KPIs, and reporting. I'm going to be covering those in this segment. More importantly, your financial system must have the ability to generate tailored financial reports on a reoccurring basis and to interpret those reports to make strategic business decisions. Separately, there are certain compliance obligations from your Provincial Law Society and Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, that should be factored into your periodic reporting process. So where to start? Start with budgeting and forecasting. Your budget is a GPS that ties the financial goals directly with the law firm's broader strategy and simply forecasts revenue and expenses. There are numerous options to build a budget. However, for simplicity, consider downloading your income statement at the end of the fiscal year or before. Align that with the firm's vision and strategy and develop a budget for the following year. And as many of you will know, being the beginning of November, this is absolutely the time where you want to start looking at your budget for 2020 and where you're going to be allocating resources. Revenues drive the budget. The projected revenue by practice area, by timekeeper, and by rate of each revenue source is a good place to start. The projection can be made evaluating past matters in combination with new matters and new clients. In addition, the law firm should factor in dynamic and evolving market conditions that would impact each practice area, such as changing regulations, financial markets, economic cycles, and client demographics. The resulting budget affects resource allocation and decisions. Ask yourselves some simple questions. Do we need to shift resources to emerging or growing practice areas? Do we need to invest in document merge tools for document heavy and growing practice areas? If and where should we make investments in the short and long term? The expense side of the budget is typically straightforward. Reoccurring costs are reliable. Expenses associated with marketing, technology, and capital expenditures, CapEx, can easily escalate, but with a budget can be held accountable. So you can see the importance of effective budgeting and forecasting. Now, managing your cash flow. Depending on the nature of the practice or the position in the growth cycle, digging into credit for reoccurring expenses is not ideal. I'm sure that's not news to you. There is a difference between budgeted net profit and forecasted cash flow. The budgeted net profit would normally exclude CapEx, partner distribution and or contribution, dividend, loan transactions, and advanced client costs. Loose billing schedules and accounts receivables management, financing expenses, and unmonitored vendor payments are indicators of poor cash flow management. Lastly, you need to plan for your obligations under Income and Excise Acts. Just because the bottom line, i.e. net profit, is black, doesn't mean there is no red, i.e. cash flow fire drills. As we say, it starts at and from the top. It is law firm leadership that makes the difference. Key performance indicators. Successful law firms focus on robust financial metrics that measure broader financial performance. Fees collected, a realization of the amount of time worked, recorded, billed, and received, fees collected per lawyer, number of billable hours, and expenses as percentage of revenue. Every firm should take stock of financial metrics based on their service offering and strategic vision of the firm. These metrics will drive behaviors both at the partner level and the staff level, as these likely will drive compensation and bonuses. Reporting. CRA requires compliance with record-keeping requirements to support law firms' filing obligations. In addition, each provincial law society has the ability to conduct mandatory audits of your books and records. Seek a practice and accounting system that delivers reporting to your law firm leaders, providing them with the information that is easy to interpret and to determine your next actions and support your compliance obligations. Successful law firms have their eyes on all of the above items and work with their CPA and other business advisors to identify and address issues on a timely manner. Again, I'll repeat it. As we say, it starts at and from the top. It is law firm leadership that makes the difference with financial management. I will take your questions on financial management and leadership.
Okay, when you created your budget for the year, but you're halfway through it and something happens in the firm, your lease is up and your rent just skyrocketed, how do you address updating the budget mid-budget?
Well, like life, it has to be fluid. And you know, it's the same thing. It's a good question because it happens. Like life happens and business happens. I equate it to when I'm working with clients on a business plan. And I'll say, you know, we're starting out, we've got the big picture, the midterm, the short term, we've got a plan. But don't be surprised if things need to change in that plan. As again, I mentioned it before, outside indicators, market conditions, economy, client demographics. It's important that you start with a budget, but realize that it may have to adapt. And that's a good question because sometimes things can happen like that. Or, you know, talking with a client the other day, they lost their #1 revenue generator. Boom, gone, right? So you have to be flexible and nimble. I like the word fluid to be able to adapt. And, you know, the thing is, if you have a plan already in place, then whatever happens, you're able to identify what those issues are and how they affect the budget and make changes accordingly. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Excellent. Good question. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to move on to our next segment, and that is law firm leadership and business development. First, I always like to have this discussion. What exactly is business development? And how does it differ from marketing? From the successful outcomes I've been involved with, business development is all about relationships, building them, cultivating them, nurturing them, and leveraging them, all on a personal, face-to-face level. While marketing is also about building relationships, it's focused more on the broader scale, the market that you're looking to reach. And in my experience, lawyers often try to look for and push the easy button, thanks to Staples for creating that imagery that there is such a thing, in an attempt to attract clients and grow the firm. Money is often thrown at various initiatives and lawyers feel better that they're doing something to market themselves. But are they? I'm sorry to have to point this out, but there is no easy button when it comes to business development. Frankly, there's no easy button when it comes to business in general, but we're on the topic of business development. Business development is a hands-on sport because it's all about relationships. It requires you to get out there and build them. So here is something I'm going to share with you. It is my proprietary, wow, that was tough this morning, proprietary methodology called TST, Targeted, Strategic, and Tactical. I've developed this over the years with lawyers in mind, knowing that your time is your most valuable commodity. You only have so much of it. And by taking this proprietary approach, which I'm going to go into detail on, you maximize your return on investment, ROI. So the first step is becoming more targeted. The first step is to make sure whatever action you're taking, you are taking in front of the right people, your target market. So one of the first and easy things you can do is take a look at your ideal clients. Who are they? Where do you find more of them? Now, if you're not in front of the right people, your target market, the people that either have the need to hire you or people who will refer clients to you, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not in front of the right people, it doesn't matter how great you do what you do, you're still wasting your time. You got to find the right associations, the right publications, and the right events to attend. Be in front of the right people at the right time, doing and saying the right things. That is about becoming more targeted. And the last time I checked, lawyers don't like to waste their time, which is why I came up with this methodology. Strategic. Okay, so again, this is about maximizing your time and realizing the best possible results, or ROI. That requires having a plan. Now, again, from the last segment, you had a question about budgeting, and I said I brought up the plan. Not having a plan is really not an option. The plan may change, always remain nimble and fluid, but start with a plan. When I say plan, I don't mean you have to go through an exhaustive process and take months to create a lengthy document. Keep it simple. Here is a basic outline. Start with your end game and think big. Why not think big? Set goals. Set deadlines, which keeps you accountable moving forward. Think about the long term, mid-term, short term, and today. What can you start today that will affect the short term, then the midterm, and eventually get you to the long-term goals? Important to use checklists and to-do lists and make notes on your progress. This may seem simple, but it's very critical. As you're moving forward, it's really, really great positive reinforcement for you to keep track of the progress that you're making. If you're not making progress, then you're going to need to make some changes and tweaks and do things differently. But when you are making progress, it's a really great reminder to keep you motivated to keep doing more. So diarize your progress and make notes on what successes you are enjoying. Then it becomes about tactical. These are the actual strategies or tactics that you're going to take to realize your plan in front of your target market. So you've started out targeted and you have a plan. Now it's all about execution. The tactical steps you take to follow your strategy to reach your goals. And sometimes it's not about the what. That part you may have already. Then it's really about the how. Depending on your skills, abilities, and what you like to do, they may include the following. And folks, a lot of time, like if I'm starting out with a newbie lawyer, then it's about the what and the how. But for many seasoned lawyers, they're already doing, or you're doing a lot of good stuff, or the strategies are good, and it's about tweaking, making small little tweaks and changes to how you're doing what you're doing. And again, go for things that you actually enjoy, doing and you're likely good at. I remember this one client early on in the coaching engagement, and I'm just learning more about what he had been doing and what he is doing and so on. And he said to me, and I'll never forget it, it really stood out. And he said, if I have to write, I quit. I'm just gonna leave the profession altogether. And I laughed and I said, okay, then I'm not gonna push you to write. If you're doing something that you don't enjoy, likely you're not gonna be that great at it. And doubly likely, you're probably not gonna do it often. So find things that you enjoy. And we're not all the same. Some people like writing. Other people like speaking, hosting workshops. Out of all these strategies, I have to tell you though, hosting workshops, I call it educational marketing, I have found to be the most effective strategy for lawyers in growing their practice. Because you're not pitching, you're not selling. It's not like you're breaking the door down. You're adding value either to current clients and leveraging their relationships with their clients, or new contacts. You're providing valuable information. At the same time, you're demonstrating your expertise and your willingness and your humanity in front of them. So number one, from my experience, these are all good and effective. The number one strategy that I found the most successful for lawyers is hosting webinars or workshops, lunch and learns, whatever you want to call them, educational marketing. Now, again, you may already be doing some of these, but with a few little tweaks, you could be enjoying much better results and better ROI. To give you an example of what I mean by tweaks, I remember getting an email from one partner. There was two partners at this firm working together on business development and marketing. And they had done a number of these educational workshops before. So they got the what down. They were doing the what and a good what, educational workshops. But they never seemed to be getting leads. So they sent me an email on a Saturday afternoon and said, what can we do? I gave them a few tips, how to tweak what they were doing, how, and they got 3 clients. So again, first of all, find out the what that you enjoy, and then look to see how you can improve how you do the what. That makes sense. When you follow this methodology, TST, targeted, strategic, and tactical, you become laser focused, saving time and money and experiencing better results, which leads to more clients. Now, the last time I checked, lawyers don't like to waste time. So this has been very finely developed over 12 years, working with lawyers at all stages of their career, different practice areas, different size firms, different geographical locations. Folks, this approach works. So you get your business development going, and what do you do next? You take it to your team. It's simple math, really. If you're the only one actively working to bring in clients, there is only so much of you, your time and your energy. What would it look like if you have the majority of your firm actively working to bring in new clients? Now, that doesn't mean everyone is going to be a rainmaker, but if people are given some simple things to remember, you can naturally expand your reach and efforts and gain more traction. Remember back to the beginning of this segment on business development. I said business development is all about relationships. Well, all of your people have them. They have friends, they have neighbors, they have connections in their own communities. Why not leverage those relationships to reach more potential clients? And I'm talking everyone, not just the lawyers, but your receptionists, the paralegals or clerks and assistants. As I said, all of your people have relationships. They are involved in some way or another in their community. They have hobbies, they belong to groups, they're out there and they have their own networks. Leverage that to expand the breadth and width of your business development efforts to grow the firm. Now, it's important to realize that some of your people will require some training and support in this area. And you want to make sure that they're following the same TST model that you are to get the maximum results in the least amount of time. Get them to follow the same steps. And consider providing some more in-depth training or coaching and support to those people on your team who demonstrate some natural ability in this area and a desire to help you grow your firm while growing their practice or career. Now, this includes everyone on your team. Again, lawyers, clerks, paralegals, receptionists, and assistants. I have a joke I often make, and even the janitor has the ability because they have relationships. And you just might be surprised to find how beneficial your people can be as untapped resources in growing the firm. And finally, for this segment, it's important to bring everything together. So whichever business development tactics you choose to get even greater benefit and results, align those actions with your marketing plan. And here's what it looks like. When one of you or your team, they're out there, you're networking, speaking, attending conferences, or out in the community, align those face-to-face actions with your marketing support. So focus your advertising, sponsorships, and any other marketing investments on that same target market. So your potential clients and referral sources see your firm name, And then they have a chance to put a face to it with either you or someone from your team. That will compound the value of all of your efforts and get you better results. So once you've done this, you're doing the TST yourself, you take it to the next level and bring it to your team. Make sure everything is aligned and it's all going in the same direction, and you will see incredible results. Any questions on the business development segment?
Yes, two. The first one is about goals. Should you be setting goals for the practice as an overview, or should you be setting goals for individual departments, like maybe property law should be getting X amount of new clients and billing this many hours, as where family law should be achieving these kind of goals?
Good question. First of all, I think there should be firm goals. There should be practice area or group goals, and then there should be individual goals, and they should all be aligned. So you would start out on the firm's strategic plan. And again, I'm not referring to, engage a consultant, spend 6 months, a year, blah, 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 50-page document that just goes into the managing partner's desk and is never seen again. Too complicated, too much work to execute on. And it's all about the execution. So come up with a plan for the firm, identify the key practice areas that you want to grow, work with those individual groups to determine reachable goals for the group, and then help your individual lawyers, both partners and associates, with their individual goals that will support the group or practice area goal and hence the firm goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you had a second one?
Yes, about the hosting the workshops. Is that something that you recommend doing in person, renting a banquet room or something like that, and doing it as a group like that, or is it something that you recommend doing online?
Well, that's a good question. I've never recommended renting a banquet room. What I actually recommend is going on site to either say if it's a current client and you're doing a value add and leveraging their connections, their clients. So you're not getting business from your client, you're giving them a value add that they can pass on to their clients. I say host it at their office. Or host it at the client's office, or host it at the firm. But never go to a banquet. No, it shouldn't be that big. It should be more intimate, like 20 to 40 participants maximum, so that you have the chance and ability to build that rapport and the trust and the and demonstrating your expertise in that format. Online, sure. If, for instance, you have clients across the country, or prospects or leads across the country, that's an ideal way that you can do. You can invite people to go into their boardroom, their office boardroom, and put you up on screen, and you can be doing it online. So either way, but I don't see it. I've never seen it done like in a banquet meeting room, hotel, that kind of thing. I don't see that. That's just me. I think you need to keep it more intimate.
Okay.
Any other questions on the business? That was a good question, by the way. Any other questions on the business development side?
No, that was it.
Okay. So let's go into our final section, and that is building your team. And I've got an image here of a bus. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Good to Great, and it's written by Jim Collins. I suggest you get it and read it. One of the things that stood out for me in his book, and he analyzes companies, so it's not law firms, but it's companies. And as an entrepreneur myself, a business coach, I'm always reading up on success stories of entrepreneurs or corporations or companies, history of business, things like that. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And the thing that stood out for me, there's a few things, but he says at some point, get the right people on the bus. And wow, did that ever hit home. So as you're growing your team, it's not about putting bums in seats and being fixated on job titles and what has worked in the past. First, take a look at your own role. What's most important? What's most valuable? You will always be the most valuable asset in your firm. And I'm speaking to you as a managing partner or owner. Identify duties and responsibilities that could easily be delegated to someone else. Someone else, who I hate to say, but it's true, will likely be better at it. And when you look at the math, the difference between what you charge for your services and what you will pay someone else to do it for you, wow, the math is blatantly obvious. The gap between those two numbers is huge, and there's money being left on the table. This is where I've not only seen a number of people burn out, but leave growth and profits on the table. Another thing to consider is the tasks that you don't like doing, right? This is your firm. This is your, either you're managing it or it's you're owning it. Get the things that you don't like to do off your desk. The tasks that perhaps you're not the most adept at, get them off your desk. Build your team around your own strengths and weaknesses, giving you the freedom to focus on your strengths and plug the holes left by your weaknesses. Now, you know, depending on where you are in the cycle, the size of your firm, if you're smaller and at an early growth stage, don't feel that you have to bring on full-time employees all the time. There's other options. There's contract and there's outsourcing. So again, many of the small firms I work with outsource a lot of their professional management, like the marketing, business development. They certainly outsource a lot of their accounting and bookkeeping. So you do not have to become a behemoth overnight and have 1 million employees. There are options, but the most important thing is get the right people on the bus, on your team. Now, in keeping with Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he also says, get the right people in the right seats, or in your case, roles. So you found the right people. Now, as Jim Collins says, make sure they're in the right seats. This means make sure everyone on your team is in the right place within your firm, doing the most valuable tasks that support you and leverage their best skills, which supports your clients. Remember I said to take a look at your role. Well, do the same, take the same approach as you bring anyone else on. I mean, think about this for a minute. Should a lawyer be doing the work that a paralegal could do? I don't think so. That's not efficient. Should a paralegal be doing the work an assistant can do? Again, no. You see my point. Make sure, and starting from the top, everyone is in the right seat. Then, as you bring the team and you're growing the team, one of the most important things you need to develop skills in is delegating. And this can be daunting. I know it's the chicken and egg. You've got a deadline and it's really no time to bring an associate up to speed. Don't be afraid to delegate up or sideways in cases where you need expertise. And if you're at a larger firm, you can look beyond your own office to the other offices across the country. There's all kinds of solutions, but the bottom line is don't try and do all the work all the time. It's not going to get done, or at least you're going to be burnt out with all the amazing work you're doing in the area of business development and growth. So now that you have other people working for you, I have a few tips for you on how you can make delegating more, let's say, or no, not more, less stressful for you yourself. First of all, number one, give clear and concise direction and instruction. It really comes down to communication. You can never be too clear. You may have done this task 1,000 times, but you're delegating it to someone who's doing it for the first time. They're relatively new. 2, understand, and this is hard, but just it is what it is. Understand that no one on your team will ever have as much skin in the game as you. It's a fact. No one will ever be as passionate about your baby as you are. This is yours. It's a fact. Get on with it. Number 3, get sign off so that they fully understand what you need and when you need it by, and agree to a hard deadline. Again, effective, clear communication. No stone left unturned. Let them know you are there to help. This is really important. It's very common for young or new employees to try and figure things out on their own. They fear that coming to you will make them look incompetent or weak. And I've dealt with this before, where I worked with a young associate and he had a habit of playing the lone wolf. And it basically drove the managing partner crazy because it delayed everything. He was trying to figure things out on his own, and It took much longer than if he could go to the managing partner and ask for help. She did her very, very best to make sure that he understood that she was there, but it took some time. These were habits. Be very clear from the beginning that you're there to help. You're there to answer questions. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's a sign of strength. You got to trust me on this. It will improve their skills, shorten their learning curve, speed up the process, and lessen the amount of delays that you have in delivering your services to your clients. So, in closing, leaders choose to lead. They are the person others choose to follow. To follow, people must feel confident in the direction in which the leader is headed. Successful leaders provide vision for the future. Sharing that vision with others in a way that compels them to act is the secret to a successful leadership style. In this way, successful leaders provide inspiration. The inspirational leader feels passionately about the vision and mission of the organization. Communicating the big picture regularly helps reinforce the reason the law firm exists. That would be clients. Law firm leaders must find ways to make their team feel important and appreciated. Simple common courtesies are one easy way to get it started. Say good morning. Ask people how their weekend was or their vacation. Listen to what coworkers, peers, and staff members have to say. Of course, living your values, behaving ethically, and leading by example will go a long way towards earning and keeping the respect and performance of your people at the highest level. And that is law firm leadership. If you follow even just a few of these tips, you will be well on your way to growing your firm exponentially. That's leadership. Any questions on growing your team?
Yes, you're talking about outsourcing. Are there any tasks that you would recommend never outsourcing?
I've never had that question before. In today's day and age with the technology and all the various service providers, to be frank, I've not run into one.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't mean to say there aren't. I've never had that question. Maybe there are, so I don't know, to be frank. Yeah. Okay, well, again, a reminder that this is one of a series, and our next one will be on December 3rd, and that will be about succession planning. So I've taken you through growth, managing growth, leadership, becoming more profitable, and now one of the final sessions we're going to do is about passing the torch and cashing out. If you're in a small firm, that means it's your own firm. What are the steps you can do to take to bring up the next generation and go off into the wild blue yonder and live on some island or yacht around the world, whatever you choose to do. If you're at a large firm, how do you bring up the next generation of leadership? You can retire or whatever you choose to do. That's an important one, and I know it's burning in a lot of minds across the country right now, especially due with the demographics, aging lawyer population. So you won't want to miss that, December 3rd on succession planning. Again, I would like to thank Equa Marketing for sponsoring this Law Water Cooler series. And thank you to my facilitator, Lila, from Equa Marketing for helping me through this presentation. Alliance, or LFLA. Lisa Dawson, who is from Vancouver. She is an administrative guru. And Mayor Gadia is a CPA from Toronto. The three of us formed the Law Firm Leadership Alliance earlier this year to help smaller firms that do not have in-house management. Together, we offer a variety of different services complementary to help law firm leaders grow and become more profitable with their law firms. Thank you to Lisa and Mayor. So if you've been intrigued by what you've heard today, you'd like to personally take a deeper dive with your own firm, I encourage you to contact me. I offer a 30-minute free consultation, and we can do that deeper dive and see where we can take next steps. Thank you very much. I wish you a very happy and successful day.